Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. We're excited today because we have a lady here tonight that wants to share her story to enlighten and inspire and educate you about the criminal justice system. Her name is Miss Tara Barnett, and she knows Danny Sneed from St. John's United Methodist Church and the Path to Freedom. And of course, I have my co-host, Mr. Danny Sneed, here tonight. And we will just get started with Miss Tara. Tara, thank you for finding the courage. Look at how scared. Thank you for finding the courage to come in tonight and tell your story. Because I have worked in the criminal justice system for 25 years, and there are a lot of ladies downtown at the courthouse. So we need women to tell their stories so that girls and women and moms and dads will know what women go through. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a native-born Houstonian, and I am 47 years old, one child from Sunnyside, Texas.
All righty.
I'm currently an independent group home owner, bartend at several clubs around Houston, and do various jobs in the healthcare field.
So do you still live in the Sunnyside area?
Actually, I just moved back in 2015. Yes, ma'am.
Good for you. Good for you. I appreciate that. When my clients get in trouble and can't find apartments, and I'm like, go back to the hood. Go back where you're from. Rent or buy a house cheap, fix it up. It'll be bigger than an apartment.
Yep. And it's yours.
And the rent's cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tell them to get some new carpet, get some new sheetrock, paint, and you're straight, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm glad you're there. I'm glad you're back in the neighborhood. I actually heard crime has gone up a lot in that area.
Crime has went up years ago.
Okay.
It is crazy. You hear gunshots.
You hear gunshots?
What? I come outside and I see a helicopter up in the air. I say, okay, let me go back in the house. I find out what's going on later on Facebook or on the news.
What do you think is going on?
I can only say the young kids. They don't have any discipline. I mean, most crimes are happening. They're under the age of 30 and under, and it's always a stabbing or somebody's drug-related, girlfriend, boyfriend, a robbery. I don't know. All I can say is it starts in the home. That's my opinion.
It does. Well, tell us, so you went to high school and you graduated in 1989. You went to Wortham,
yes.
Wortham High School. So tell me, how did you get involved with the criminal justice system?
Woo, that goes back at a very young age.
But let me ask you this. Did you grow up with two parents, grandmothers, aunt, stepmother, foster? How were you raised?
I grew up with everybody but my daddy.
Okay.
Cousins, grandmother, grandfather, my mother, my auntie, stepdaddy, but everybody but my daddy.
Okay. But
lots of support in the family.
A lot of support.
Yep.
Were you one of those children that was affected or felt the effect of not having a father there?
I was very rebellious against my mom.
Did you know him?
I knew his name.
Okay.
He was talked about. I knew his first and last name. I had some history with one of my uncles who knew his family personally. But I never met him personally until I was 27.
And how did you feel about that growing up, since you had a stepfather?
I was very rebellious against my mom. And I had attitude toward her because I felt, especially after I had my son, how could you not have this man in my life? Because my child's father was in his life, and it really was getting to me then. And I put out a search for him, still didn't find him. But growing up, not knowing who my biological father was, it was painful. It was a struggle.
Wow.
Yep. For me.
Yeah, and every child is different.
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
I just felt like me having him or needing him would make a difference in my life. But now I know better.
Okay. So, you're rebellious. And so what made you start, since you had a good support system, what made you decide to do criminal acts? Like the first adult crime I can see, maybe you were 17, was possession of a weapon in your criminal record. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
What was that?
That had to do with the baby daddy.
Well, sometimes baby daddies make you pick up weapons. Why did yours make you pick up a weapon?
Oh, for the
Was it like a gun?
No, it was. Actually, it was a gun and a knife.
All righty.
So, but I got
Ooh, gangster, gangster. You ain't getting away. You come close, I get you. You get far away, I get you. What happened, boo?
Actually, of course, like a lot of different situations, I went over and there was a girl there.
Okay, yeah.
So,
And so you did that. Because we've all gone over there when the girl was over there. We
Yeah,
cried, we called, we bang on the door. But you did
mm-hmm.
you went a little bit farther,
I took it a little step further.
Did you break the door down?
Actually, his friend opened the door and
Another guy?
Yes, another guy.
Messy, messy, messy bro. Messy buddy. Okay.
And you know, just to say the gun wasn't loaded anyway. It was just a threat or whatever. So I actually got caught with a knife, beating at a car window and slashing the tires because the gun was taken from me from the friend or whatever.
So you went over there with the gun.
Yeah.
So you knew the girl was there.
Yeah, I knew.
You suspected?
Yes, no, I knew. I mean, because
Were you in high
wasn't
school at the time?
Whoa, let me see, 18, because I was supposed to graduate in 88.
Okay, but you graduated in 89. This says, I think I read it that this happened March of 88.
If it was 88, March of 88, I probably was suspended from school.
I got you.
For the whole semester. So I probably was not in school if I remember correctly. But yeah, I probably was not in school for that semester. If it was 1988, yeah. And I was 17. Wait a minute, that can't be true.
Don't worry about the year.
Okay,
Just tell
okay,
us what
right,
happened.
okay.
Don't worry about that.
So, well, yeah, it was because a woman was there, and I went over there like I'm Rambo, gonna make some things happen, and I wind up, somebody called the police because they see me outside slashing the tires.
Got it.
And the security guard of the apartment see me.
Okay.
So that's when I went to jail because he called HPD, and then HPD came out and arrested me for having, because he seen me with, I think it was like they said the knife was over 5 or 6 inches or something like that. So yeah, I think they gave me a fine for it and let me go home.
Right, it was a misdemeanor. Yeah. All your cases are misdemeanors, really. I mean, you end up with 2 felonies, but it's just because they're misdemeanors on top of misdemeanors on top of misdemeanors.
Exactly.
But they're all really misdemeanors.
Right.
So then after that, you got a theft case. Tell me what's going on with you then.
The theft started in juvenile.
Okay.
Hanging with friends and relatives, you know, the truth or dare, I dare you. That's how it actually started. So, but as I got older, baby daddy again, being spoiled, not having accustomed to the life that he brought me into, then we broke up. So I felt like I needed to go out, shop left, pay bills, pay rent, and still look nice at the same time. And that's where the shoplifting started.
Okay. Well, are you doing it like for the things you wanted or to sell?
Well, to sell too, because I needed to pay my light bills and my rent. But at the time, in those days, you can take things back to the store and sometimes they'll give you cash for it. So yes, I was using it to receive money and to have for my own personal self.
So why didn't going to jail stop you?
Actually, it did.
Well, there is a gap between 88 and 91. So like it's a 2-year gap, so.
It didn't stop, it stopped.
I mean like a gap and then started back.
Actually it didn't stop, I just
Oh, you didn't get caught. Oh, okay.
So let the truth be told.
Okay.
It actually stopped in 90,
6.
No. It stopped in 93.
Okay.
Because I think in March of 94 was my shoplifting case, and I got probation for it.
Felony probation.
Yes.
So just as an educational piece, if you get 2 misdemeanor theft convictions, the 3rd misdemeanor theft conviction, I don't care if it's for $50, you are going to get a felony. So the third shoplifting, misdemeanor shoplifting is a felony. Right. So she's by 1993, you're on your 3rd.
I had several.
You had 2 felony ones, and they were both misdemeanors enhanced into felonies. Mm-hmm. So you had 2 different ones, one in 93 and one in 96.
Well, the 96 was from the 94 because I was on probation from 94, I believe, and I violated the probation. It was a deferred adjudication, and I violated with the criminal mischief, which happened in 95.
Right, I see that.
So with that, in January of 96 is when they say we're going to run this concurrent, no more probation for you, and we're going to give you your time. So
What was that? 2 years?
No, well, that
Back then they had state jail felonies, so did you have to go to state jail?
no, I did all my 45 days in Harris County. It felt like life.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad.
So
45 days.
well, it was January, February, then the beginning of March, and February is a short month. So I mean, it felt like life, but it was actually 45 days that I had to sit in Harris County Jail.
And who took care of your son when you were in jail?
Well, I had a little cousin living with me. She was still at Ebony Word then, and I told my mom, I say, my baby's not coming over there. He's gonna stay home. I got 45 days to do. He's gonna stay home, and she's gonna make sure he goes to school, come back home. And now she was living with me anyways, and I was helping her because her mom had drug issues or whatnot. So she stayed with me. I kept under my wing, and I say, here, you have to be a responsible adult. I hate to make you take care of my son, but I really need you right now. So, and she did that for me.
So does your son know about when you got in trouble?
Now he knows, yes. At 30, yes.
How did you tell him?
What I used to do is tell him I don't need him to get in trouble. I say, you already have a strike against you. Stay out of jail.
What was the strike?
Being a black man. You're black, you're a man, you grew up in the hood. I said, I don't need you to get in trouble. And I say, your dad has been in the judicial system, and so have I. I say, I don't want you to succumb to this pressure from the street. I need you to stay out, don't do nothing. Mm-hmm. So I want to say, in his mid-20s, you have to sit him down and say, this is what's going on. But the family had already told him anyway.
Right. When you come from a big family, they talk about
your
mama behind your back.
Yeah, he already
cousins
knew.
tell it.
Yeah, it was that because my cousins. Exactly.
Your mama been in jail.
Your mama been in jail. She can't tell us anything. She's acting all high some did it.
She had a gun.
She had a knife. She been to the pig.
Right.
Then they begin to embellish.
Wait a minute. You think she's so goody
She
two?
robbed
She had
some
thief?
people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And they absolutely was. And they was like, man, your mama ain't gonna do you wrong. Your mama from the hood. Be like, okay, but
So you had to finally just sit him down. But you waited till he was in his 20s?
he already knew. But I just needed to relieve myself of me knowing that he know. And he get it from me. Okay. So yes, I had to let him know, he's like, Mama, I already know. I know when you was gone for 45 days where you were. So, but did I tell him? No, I didn't.
So the cousin told it.
I don't think it was I don't think it was I think it was her mom.
Oh, okay.
I think it was my auntie because she is the auntie of the family that tells everybody everything.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't give her ice water to try to keep it warm.
Okay.
So, yeah, he pretty much knew.
Were you able to steer him away from trouble?
My son has been in trouble twice with 2 dismissed cases. And one was for, I want to say some vandalism to a vehicle or something like that.
Criminal mischief.
Okay.
That's what criminal mischief.
So his case was actually dismissed, and I say you need to go and get it, taken off your record, expunged.
Has he done that yet?
No. It's still sitting there, but saying dismissed. And then he had an incident in Fresno in front of his house where they tried to arrest him, and because he didn't have his ID on him, and it was resisting arrest. So he went through fourth being and had to spend some money, and they actually dismissed the case on that too. So, but anything else,
He hadn't gotten that expunged either.
no. Well, I don't know if his wife is helping him with that one or not, but I did tell him, I said, you need to get that
Yeah, you need to get those
clear
expunged.
off, right? So, but convicted of anything, no.
Good.
No.
Coming from Sunnyside, that's good.
And I try to tell him all the time.
So how'd you keep him out of trouble in high school? When he was in high school?
Well, I don't want to use the word spoil because I say I didn't spoil him. I tried to teach him independency and be respectful. When you come home, this is what I need you to do. If there's dishes in the sink, wash them.
But it's gangs in Sunnyside. So how did you keep?
We didn't grow up in Sunnyside.
Oh, you didn't grow up
there?
there?
No.
Well,
I left home on my own at 19. So I moved closer to A-Leaf. Okay. So it wasn't so bad back in the 90s. So no, he didn't grow up in Sunnyside.
Okay.
But where we were, gangs were over there too.
Yeah, gangs are everywhere.
Yeah, but I was right there with my son, with my gun.
Okay. Well, we know you will pull out a gun. So Danny, tell us how you got to know Miss Tara.
Through the Path of Freedom ministry. And, we always promote or try to highlight returning citizens, formerly incarcerated men and women. And we had the booth set up in the church. And just like I met you, we call it a recruitment station, And she said she came by and inquired about the Path of Freedom, and she said that she would like to get involved, and one of her goals was to create something that effectively work with formerly incarcerated people. And I said, well, before you create your own, align yourself with people that are already doing this work within your church. Come out and share your story with us on Thursday night at the Lazarus Project. And she did. And for a while, she was there religiously. But life on Thursday night from 5:30 to 7 when we meet, it's not always easy for someone to travel into the heart of downtown during that hour, 5:30. But she did, and we continue to build that relationship based on I'm formerly incarcerated, and the passion to use our message and our experience to help other people. And I think that's what brought all three of us to the table.
Right.
Is to use our experiences, and yours with the criminal justice system, working with formerly incarcerated. Mine from they're my peers. And when she was talking about shoplifting, I think shoplifting was probably one of my second addictions.
Wow.
Before the drugs.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well,
I knew about your robberies, ag robberies, but I didn't know about...
a robbery, that's not an addiction.
Okay.
I told you I was playing. I wasn't serious when I did that robbery.
Right.
I didn't know
Except your
robbery
victims
was serious.
Except your victims thought you were serious.
But I didn't know it was serious. I really was going in there I asked for the money. I didn't have a gun. I didn't have a knife. In my mind, I just asked for the money and they gave it to me.
Oh, in your mind.
Was it a joke?
Well,
No, it wasn't a joke. He just, that's just that drug mind.
Right. I mean, I was trying to get high.
He distorted reality. You heard of fake news.
Oh, right.
So he had
It was a
fake
fake
reality.
robbery.
Yeah, it was a fake robbery. It was a robbery, but in his mind it was a fake
I
robbery.
don't mean to laugh, but...
And it's not funny to the victims, and he's made peace with that. And since he's told this story for the last 3 years, we're making light of it, but we know it's a serious situation.
Well, they made me, when the investigators and was sitting down talking to me, they started saying, do you know that's robbery? Like, no, I didn't rob anybody. And they were saying there's 3 things that the country takes very serious: rape, robbery, and murder.
Murder, yeah.
And I was like, wow, I'm in the big 3. Like, wow. Because in my mind, I'm like, my record is like little stuff. And when I talk about shoplifting, you running with a group of people, we just believe that if you wasn't stealing unless you got caught. Anytime you did something wrong, it wasn't wrong unless you got caught at it. So as long as you stole something, you got away with it, you wasn't a thief. That wasn't shoplifting. A shoplifter is somebody that they catch coming out the store with something and they convict them. And so long as I had never got caught, I never saw myself as a thief or a shoplifter. But I was in Target one time, and the devil real. And the devil ain't nothing.
And Danny's real too.
So the devil is the person that gives you thoughts, ideas, and suggestions. So I'm walking around Target. I ain't got no idea to do nothing wrong. So I'm walking on the aisle and I see some headphones. And on the box, the guy got the headphones on. And I had this idea like, why don't you take the headphones out the box
And put them on and
put
walk
them
around
on,
the store.
and just walk out the store like this here jamming.
The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. The devil's a liar.
I take the headphones out the box. Then you got to put batteries in. You got no batteries in them.
You didn't realize that. Oh, you went and stole some batteries too?
No, I just put them on.
Like you had them on.
Yeah, so I started going out the store like this here. You know what I'm saying? Like I walked in the store with them. And when I got ready to go out the double doors, man, about 4 people, like, I to this day, they must have been ninjas, because they came out, like I ain't see them.
Like they came, you think they came out the sky on
two
a
behind me
road?
and 2 in front of me.
Like a road.
I'm worried about how the 2 to the front get in front of me.
They were already there.
Opening that way, how they standing right there in the door. So they like right there.
Ninjas.
Yeah, so some 4 ninjas take me back in, they take me upstairs. I said, these my headphones. Then they showed me on the film. They showed the camera. You stole these headphones and all this here, man. And I went to jail for that. And
Was that in Texarkana?
I ain't gonna tell you what city it was in.
Now tell me where it was. This is truth and justice.
It was here in Houston.
Okay.
And I was just here visiting for the summer. Okay. And so my dad, he left me there. He wouldn't bail me out. And he left me there. And
There at Houston?
Huh?
Left you in Houston?
Yeah,
Or
left me in the county with
Oh,
these old men and stuff smoking.
Oh, this is when you were young.
Yeah, I was 16.
Okay.
And so
They took her to jail at 16.
yep, they took me to jail at 16.
Well, he probably didn't have ID, and they didn't know he was 16. Because you went to the real jail?
I went to the real
You're supposed
jail.
to go to juvenile when you're 16.
Yeah.
Well, eventually they, I guess
realized
they
your
figured
age.
all out.
Yeah, you told them your age, and,
And
they
then my
let you out.
dad made it told him to put me up there with them guys.
Right.
Sound like my mama.
Yeah, no
And,
nonsense. Yeah.
So I got probation for it, had to do community service and all that. But
Interesting.
and that was long before drugs, alcohol, prison, any of these things were in my life. So in hindsight, you look at those behaviors.
So you had it in you
Well,
to kind of cross the line.
rules,
Yeah.
laws, do they apply to me? No, I'm like Donald Trump. The laws and the rules in the country, I'm above that.
I got you. I got you.
Okay.
Them laws got in your life. You set your butt
Y'all
down.
see how I put
That's-
Trump up on the road,
Wait. Donald Trump, you set your ass down for 15 years. Donald Trump didn't do that.
No. Trump,
As long as you're under that 14th Amendment, I don't know.
I don't know. So anyway, so why? And so your last case in 2008 was a DWI. Tell me how you. Because the rest of them were thefts, and then now you in a criminal mischief, and now you get to a DWI. How'd that happen?
Well, I couldn't tell the truth. So I had to take the case. And the truth is that
Oh, the truth was worse than DWI.
Well, in a sense, the truth was I was on prescription medication, but I hadn't taken it since early that morning. But I went out drinking.
I see.
So yes,
So
it was
enhancement with the medication.
medication and me drinking, and I fell asleep behind the wheel.
I see.
And flipped over in my Jeep.
Wow.
The officer came. I crawled out of my Jeep upside down. And he said, I need you to take a breathalyzer. I said, no, I can't because my livelihood is bartending. I'm not doing it. By me being under the influence of alcohol, I hadn't had that much to drink, but it was more of the medication. And when they took me in, they did a field sobriety test. So with that being said, I'm on camera. I didn't know that I could refuse it at the time. I should have been refusing and slept it off. I was actually standing up, sleep, counting. And that's what got me the DWI.
So what kind of punishment did you get?
I got a fine. Thank God. I mean, I don't know if it's God. I mean, I know I have a background. It's not bad, but to me it's bad. I don't talk about it much, but I'm not saying I had a slap on the wrist, but I haven't had any harsh punishment.
So you never had a drug addiction?
No.
Because that drugs seem to be the culprit when people get a lot. But why do you think you would do? What was the shoplifting? Why couldn't you? Because there are people who are broke and they can work 2 jobs, and then there's you. So tell me what happened. What made you think that shoplifting for 10 years or whatever was a good thing, was the right thing to do?
When it started with my child's father, and he wasn't.
He was a shoplifter?
No, he just had some money. And I was spoiled. And I mean, it was nothing that I couldn't have from him. And when we separated, I wasn't getting what I was getting while I was with him. It was limited to, the finances, exactly. So, and when I say expensive things, I was expensive things. I mean, fancy cars back then, Fieros, Fiero? Yeah, no, not the Fieros, the little small cars. And at 16, to have one of those, mopeds, I mean, I was living a little glamorous life as a 16-year-old.
Okay.
So
is that the same man you got in trouble with running a woman out of his house?
Yes.
Okay.
Same man, yes, ma'am.
So how long were you with him?
Whoa.
Or are you still with him?
No. I met him when I was 15, going on 16, and it lasts till
And he was grown?
He was 4 years older than me.
Okay, so you were doing the R. Kelly.
I was, or he was.
It takes 2 to do the R. Kelly. Now I'm just
So,
teasing. He was a bit older, I think.
Yeah, he was. He was 4
I
years
think he
older.
got a Leah when she was 15, though.
Oh, yeah, I was
was in his
15
20s.
going on 16. And my child's father was 4 years older than me, and he's a foreign guy, too. So,
Where's he from?
Colombia.
Okay.
So,
Did he go to your school? Or how did you know?
no, I was in the club and wasn't supposed to be in there
I
using family ID.
I got you, got you, got you.
Nope, at the Rhinestone Wrangler.
I remember the Rhinestone. I didn't know they let children in there. I was good and grown at the Rhinestone Wrangler.
They didn't let me. I
On
had
Main
somebody
Street.
ID, and I was like,
Is that back when Bone Shakers was?
I don't know. I never went to Bone Shaker.
I didn't go to Bone Shakers. I just went to the Rhinestone.
Yeah, because that'd
Wasn't
probably be
supposed to
too.
in
That's the
there.
other side of town. So yeah.
I thought on the north side.
Yeah, I never been on
something
the
like
north
that. No,
side,
I didn't
yeah.
go. I stayed close
yeah.
to home.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I always lived in the inner city too. Wow, wow. So you had an interesting. How do we keep these young people from getting in trouble? I mean, you kept your son out of trouble by telling him, but how? What can we do, and what do you see that we can do?
I think that the parents of today, that we need to be more involved with our kids, and we need to let them see what's really going on in society with us, not by themselves. Because even me, I used to tell my son, go ride your bicycle or whatever. I'm not outside watching him. I was not always around him, but I'm always checking to see, where you at, what you doing, who you with. And we need to know what's going on with our children. That's my opinion. Be involved, get them more educated into books, make them, have them more active, music, gymnastics, keep them busy doing positive things. I mean, it starts at home with the parents.
Well, what if it's a child that's got a crackhead mother and daddy and they're not around? Because there's a new phenomenon. So many parents have been incarcerated.
Right.
So then, what do you do with those kids? So that can't be the answer.
No, it can't be the answer if the parents are not there.
Because and I know you grew up with a lot of parents that saw other people's children that your son's age
Right.
where they weren't around.
I think the family have to come together. We were one of those families. I had an auntie who was on drugs. Her kids went from my mom's house to my auntie's house, but we never let them succumb, or the state or the state, whomever, the city, to come and get them. Mm-hmm. We had them. There was no way that CPS or nobody else was going to have custody. And she was gone and on drugs for a long time.
So basically, the family raised her.
Raised her kids, right? And they doing pretty good for themselves. So again, what they're saying is about it takes a village to raise a child, and yes, the family needs to step up.
Well, now that you're in Sunnyside, tell me about this. I've been hearing a lot since I'm now at the district attorney's office that crime is on the rise in Sunnyside, in the South Acre. Is that the South Acres area? The area where some of the bad apartment complexes are. I guess it's supposed to be a lot of gang activity. Do you cross that in
Yes,
your area?
I'm in between. I'm in between Wesley Square and Sunflower in the neighborhood back there. I, per se, don't see a lot of activity going on because I'm in and I'm out and I'm going right to my house. And when I'm leaving my house, I'm not riding around trying to see things. But, I mean, in the neighborhood, in the hood, I'm not going to use the word poverty because I've been to places where there's poverty. I think they need to be enlightened. More education, more institutions for these kids and their young mothers and parents as well.
Well, I hear you saying institution, and that is always the answer. But like my yard man was telling me that what he finds is kids today are listening to rap and they want to emulate rap. And he was saying we need to stop the rap. Now he's just like a 38-year-old dude, he did, and you'd never hear him think he'd say that. I said, well, people have a right to free speech.
Right.
So then that's where parents have to step in, or grandparents or foster parents or whatever. Because I was like, you can't stop people's music. But he just said so many young men are just trying to live the music. Do you find that?
Yeah, that glamorous music life, the chain, the saggy pants, and having all the money in the fancy cars, I see it. I mean, my son, pretty much one of them, but he works hard for his money is what I taught him to do. What
does he do?
He has his own construction, what would I say? He does home remodeling.
Okay.
So, and I believe that when you teach your child to go out and work hard, even if you want to be a rapper or whatever it is, teach them responsibility, teach them to go out and earn that dollar. Because everybody can't rap, everybody can't sing, everybody can't do what the rappers are doing.
Right.
So find your niche and make it happen.
That's true.
Make your niche.
Can I weigh in
Absolutely,
on that?
please.
Because I had a discussion with we did a night out for safety and liberation at the 3rd Ward Multiplex Center last night, and it was about the communities. And one of the things we talked about is, I brought up is, in our communities, drug dealers are held in high esteem. And not by young people, but family members. I see in the family members that if a person, a nephew or a son becomes successful selling drugs, he drives a Mercedes, he has all the wheels on it. Well, instead of his family saying, what you're doing is wrong, we're not going to enable you, we condemn the fact that you're selling drugs to make a living, and we're going to discourage you. Well, everybody talks about how well he's doing.
Wow.
So when nobody is denigrating and villainizing drug dealers, the youth look at them like, well, they validate it.
Right.
We don't hear any negative people say anything negative about them. So what they're doing can't be that bad. So when you're young and your mom and your aunts and family members, you see them around these drug dealers, smiling, preachers smiling, taking their money and all this. So it looks like a path to success.
Wow.
Instead of seeing the person in the neighborhood that's, say the guy that has his own construction business in the neighborhood. When he get out of work, he dirty. His car may be just a work car. You don't see him having a lot of jewelry on. You don't see him at the club. So you may like, nah, I don't want to be an entrepreneur and own my own construction business. I want to be the guy with the Mercedes Benz with the rims on it, and that everybody in the neighborhood talks well about. And another thing I pointed to is in the erosion of I see in black males is just the educational process, where in our culture we say schools teach children, parents don't, and I don't think that the school system can educate a child. I think it takes a parent when he come home know what their homework is, and you can do what they do, and you follow them all the way through school, knowing what classes they're taking, because you've already been through that process. Those are the people that really successfully get through all the obstacles it is for a black male to get through the criminal justice system. And I got one other note. Prisons are built based on the reading scores of fourth graders.
Wow.
So when they look at the model, how projected, how many prisons they need, they look at over across the country and look at the reading scores of fourth graders. And the fourth graders they're looking at are minorities in the minority communities, and saying these people have the potential of eventually being, we're going to need more funding and make a budget, because we're going to have a place for these people to sleep.
And what about the testings they're doing too on the fourth and second graders, like for intellectual disabilities? Oh, we know they're going to commit a crime, so we need to make room for these people that's coming in here.
Well, one of the things I think we have to make sure that we get involved with is we have to get involved with our politicians. I mean, it's our Austin legislators who are calculating the pipeline to prison from fourth graders. So we've got to demand that they not do that. So when you go to political events, you need to tell them that. I mean, we've got to stop that, because they can just as easily pay for after-school programs and let teachers work those programs, or let nonprofits run those programs. You know, HISD, which we all pay for the buildings with our tax dollars or with bond issuances. The facility's there, so if everybody leaves at 3, 4, 5, the building is there. That facility could stay up until 7 or 8. I mean, it could be, you know, it could be run as nonprofits. And some of these prisons can be closed and turned into mental health facilities. You know, we don't have to have them everywhere. So it's where we tell them to spend our dollars. So, you know, there's a disconnect between our politicians and what's actually needed in the community. We see that locally, but we really are seeing it nationally. I think there's a huge disconnect. And what I appreciate about our national movement right now is that although many people didn't like the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare, also known as Obamacare, I was proud of the citizens who did their they exercised their constitutional right to freely assemble and protest, and to say, no, you're not taking my health care. Isn't it amazing what happens when people exercise their constitutional rights. I mean, that's when you understand how brilliant the Constitution was written so long ago, because they have a right, and no one can stop them. You can't shut them up. No matter how much Trump wants to make it an anarchy or a kingdom with his children all at the reins, the people have stopped that.
Well, look what Congress did by voting to make sure sanctions were imposed on Russia. Not only, I know I kind of pivoted from the community to all the way to the White House, but when you talk about check on powers, Congress has, when we look at, Trump is not the ruler of the United States. He is an administrator head of the White House, but there's more than one legislative body.
Oh, it's checks and balances. It was written for checks and balances. That's the beauty of it.
So if it wasn't written like that, then he could make decisions that govern everybody. But what they told him today forced him to sign into a bill, not only that we're going to impose sanctions for Russia's interference with the elections, but also that he can do nothing about it, that he can undermine any of the decisions. He has no role in what goes forward. He can't untie that knot. And he did it grudgingly, because he knew if he'd have vetoed it, they would have overrode it.
Oh, no. All hell would have broke loose. All hell would have broken loose, because although he had a lot of support, his supporters didn't count on or bank on Russia. I mean, they supported him for what he said he would do, for some of his white supremacist attitude.
And the Supreme Court justice nomination.
Justice for tax, the rich people, for tax reform and tax cuts. But they did not do it for Russia. Russia was not in the equation.
Right.
And too much time has been spent on Russia. But I was just so happy that when the Republican legislators would go home, people were there to protest about their medical insurance. They stood up. I mean, people were scared to go. I mean, I just didn't expect that. The talking heads talk about him, but the people really said, Congress people, we voted for you and you represent us. We don't want 20 million or 30 million people off of health insurance. And we don't want pre-existing conditions to be exempted again.
80% of the people have health care in this country. Now, we have a just great debate about health care. 80% of the people have health care. The debate is only on the 20%. So this huge fight over the affordable health care is only for about 20% of the America. But they still Americans, and those lives matter. And without health care, these people will die. So it's worth it. If 80% of us are doing well, and we all at the table are doing well, so we say, well, why we should worry about the 20%? You guys, if you can't afford health care, some people say it's a privilege, some people say it's a right. I believe health care in this country is a right. And not
I believe it's a right, too. I think that we could pool our tax money together for our common health, education, and welfare. That's what we were taught, and health is insurance. And it's shameful that other countries have better insurance than we do. It's shameful.
Really?
Oh, yeah, Paris, Canada, London. Oh, yeah, they have a right to health care. Yeah, they have a right to health care. They can't own the property, and they can't carry a gun, but they got a right.
Their premium is as high as ours?
They just have a right to it. They have a right to it. I can't explain the structure. I've heard it before, and I don't want to misstate my countries, but Switzerland, a lot of the European countries, they have a right to health care. They just go to the doctor when they're sick. I mean, they have a right to it. It's part of their common tax burden.
Well, let me give you a recent example. In the news, there was a child born to parents that wanted to bring him over here to have surgery. He was in a coma. But because the state runs the health care, he wasn't allowed to travel to the United States. The states could tell the parents what the parents could do about their own child health care. So there are some pluses and minuses.
But what country? Do you remember what country that was?
Because
it might be a communist country.
No. I want to say that this was, I want to say it was in Canada. Because Canada have a state-run health care.
They do have state-run national health care, but the difference is sometimes you can't, there might be other reasons. I don't know, I didn't hear that story, but sometimes you can't bring 6 people across the country, across the state. So he might not have been able to get a pass to come in because of his health. You know what I'm saying? Because I think
He was on
anybody.
life support, and
Yeah.
they didn't think he was going to do well.
Yeah, no, I
anyway.
think they thought he was going to die if he came over. That might be why they didn't do it, because they would still be responsible. You know, the doctors have to release you. So I think it might have been a different reason. Because people have a right to go to other countries to get surgery. So
But they
if you can
blocked
pay
it, and it was
for
very controversial.
Yeah, they probably blocked it. The reporters probably reported the simple version. They probably blocked it due to him not being healthy enough to travel.
The prognosis.
And that the government would have to pay to get him here in a coma state. You know, like the doctors would have, if he's in a coma, you can't just take somebody out the hospital in a coma, they might die. So he's probably got some kind of life support on him.
Right, he
So
was on life
They
support.
probably weren't going to let him bring the equipment over. You know what I mean?
So
Because a doctor or somebody would have to come with him to keep watching his vital signs.
Right,
So it's probably deeper than that, because I've known Canadian people to come get health care here.
Yeah, I was about to ask if he died and the doctor released him to come to the United
then
States. Which country would be responsible for
The doctor.
his death?
The doctor that released him,
See, the controversy was, the prognosis was that he wasn't going to live.
period.
And the parents saying, we
We
don't
want to try everything.
There are some doctors in the United States have some new experimental things they want to try. We want to give our son an opportunity for that. They saying no. We're saying he's not going to make it. We're not going to let
And they
allow
weren't
you
going
to
to
take
release him. They weren't going to release him. Yeah, they weren't.
And so
because
they
you know
went to
doctors
court.
have to release you out of a
Right.
hospital.
And even at the end of it, when his health fell so bad that nothing was going to help him, they stopped him from taking him home to die. They said he would have to die in the hospital.
Oh, that's his goal.
Wow.
But that's because it's a state-run
Mandated,
healthcare
okay.
system that you can't, by law, they govern. So there are
Interesting.
some pluses and minuses.
Interesting. So when you were in jail those 45 days, did you meet other women in your situation? Tell us about that
did.
tough 45 days.
Actually, it wasn't tough. I got my Bible, and I read, and I read, and I read. And I did meet this young lady named Deborah. She and I are still friends to this day. It was this other young lady I met named Lawana. I haven't been able to contact Lawana. But it was, the only rough thing is that I wanted to go home.
Yeah. What I noticed the women doing a lot is talking about their children, comforting each other, and braiding each other's hair. That's what I used to see a lot at the county jail. Did
I
you
get
see
my
any of
hair
that?
braided? I can't.
Also, this is what goes on in the women's jail. Y'all braid each other's hair.
I used to see that a
remember
lot
getting
when
my
I go
hair
see my
braided.
clients.
I don't remember letting nobody braid my hair.
But what about
but-
braiding somebody else's?
No, I think if I remember correctly, I just had the little two braids that I put in my head on my own, and they told me that I was conceited in there, but I didn't see it. I just read my Bible because I didn't want no trouble. Actually, I did get into an altercation because I did come out the room one day, and we were playing dominoes or cards. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but this girl tried to jump on me. And I remember Deborah taking her and telling me, "No, you're not going to mess with my little sister," and this, and that.
Were you willing to fight?
I mean, I had to. If,
choice.
you know,
You can't run.
She jumped over not jumped over the table, she came around me and she grabbed me. And, you know, they got those steel tables and
Right,
chairs.
yeah.
And I'm trying to get out without. And I remember having these nasty purple bruises on my thigh. And Deborah was able to grab her and move her over and was like, "You're not going to bother her, this, and that." But that was
So
it.
Deborah was more of a badass or an enforcer? I mean, why would Deborah jump in? Because if
Well,
you know a person jump in, they got to be ready to fight, right?
We shared our cells together. It was 4 of us that kind of was around each other. Me, Lawana,
Y'all
Deborah,
had a little clique. They
and
had
it
a
was
little
this
clique.
other girl. Yeah.
Y'all had a little clique
So we would all get in. Let me see, 1, 2. I think it was like 2, 3 people to a room. In some kind of way, whatever, we're all sitting there, we have our cards in there playing, you know, talk about life and history, you know, such and such, you know, just even street talk, I guess. And it was hard time, but as I think about it, the 45 days go by like 2 days now. So, but back then that was tough and rough.
I bet that was tough.
So it was dominoes, cards, Rick, and my Bible. So that's how I got through my 45 days.
But did it stop you? Did that 45 days deter you from going back?
Yes, of course. I didn't get in trouble
tell me
anymore.
what psychological effect doing 45 straight days did.
I did not go to the store and touch those people's stuff. Well, even with the 93 incident, I didn't do anything. That was a false arrest or whatever. But it taught me a lesson. I didn't hang with the same girls anymore. I disassociated myself from everything. It was just me and my son and my cousin, you know, who helped me with him while I was incarcerated. So no more sticky fingers. No more associating with the girls that I had come out of high school with. Strictly work. I went and got my CNA certificate. I went and got my medical billing certificate. I was just strictly working and trying to provide for me and my son. I went back to school. So yeah, I was in shock. I was jailhouse
So the
shock.
45 days worked for you.
Yes, it did.
45 days, and that's all it took.
That
to
cured
stay out
her.
of trouble.
You seen the thing else?
So she had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times to get in trouble, and that last time, the criminal mischief was number 6, and then she had 7 to DWI, but she didn't
And
have
that
to do
criminal
much.
mischief was behind a boy too. So
A different one.
yep, that was after the baby.
So what did you
daddy.
do? You cut up his ties? Then?
No, that wasn't his ties. I threw a bottle through the girl's mama bedroom. Well, she lived around the corner from my mama. But if I didn't know her, I wouldn't have bothered her. But I knew her.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't trying to throw the bottle through the window. I wanted to fight. And I wasn't supposed to be outside because I was on probation. After it was 1 o'clock, I think I had a drink or two. I wanted to fight.
Gotcha.
So she wouldn't come outside, so I threw a beer bottle through the window.
Well, she got a little aggression, didn't you? You had a little aggression around it, didn't you?
But I'm nice now. I just
You
say,
got preyed
okay,
up
go
on
ahead,
it.
just go
So
ahead.
let me ask you, when you've gotten involved with the Lazarus Project, did you benefit from the Lazarus Project? Is at St. John's United Methodist Church, and formerly incarcerated people sit around in a circle, tell their stories, pray, fellowship, and uplift each other and help each other if necessary.
Right.
What did you find helpful about that? There's not that many women there.
I invited my son because I wanted him to hear some stories
Oh,
about the
good.
20 years incarcerated, people, individuals or whatever. Danny and the rest of the people in the project, they are very uplifting. In hearing their story, I know I have a history, but it makes my story look like small peas.
It does.
So, I
'Cause
mean,
you don't have that addiction piece that ran you, not the drug addiction piece that ran you to do some of the more desperate things that they had. I mean, you had sticky fingers, you were spoiled, you did it a lot, but you didn't have that addiction. You didn't have that drug addiction, because that's a beast unlike others to me.
Yeah.
I never had a drug addiction, so I mean, I may have puffed on a little weed here, and I
Right.
drink, but nothing that I cannot live without.
Right. That's
So-
going to make you commit crimes to
Right,
get.
right. So, I mean, hearing their story is very heartfelt, and I can feel it. I feel it in my soul, and it just make me just want to embrace them. And hey, what can I do to help? That's my MO. How can I help you? How can I make you feel, a difference in what you're just going through? I know I can't, but I can try and I can ask. So.
What did it do for your son?
Actually, he heard a story, and I wanted him to come back. So I wanted him to hear more. I need him to hear this, because I had a testimony when I came in one day about he and I. We don't talk to each other like mother and son. We talk to each other like we're friends, and I'm okay with that because I've given him that permission as a young child. I need you to talk to me because I don't need you to be under any stress because you're going to put me under stress. I need you to be able to say what's on your mind and let's see how we can work this situation out. And he's still that same kid, but I'm not his friend. I'm your mama. And I need him to see these people who have been incarcerated. I need you to take this into your life and know this is what can happen to you. These streets they powerful.
These streets are powerful.
They
They're
are
real.
powerful.
Even at 30, they're real.
It is real. The struggle real. The power of the street is very real. So I want him to come and he say, Mama, that was real interesting. And I had my granddaughter with me at the time too. So he knows what's out there, but he's never been in there to see
Good.
that that life.
How did he stay away from gang activity?
I guess me having him at home, and
There's a
needing.
lot of mamas that have their kids at home and they still slip out when they're supposed to be with their friends and spending the night, and they do.
No, I think money motivated him. Money, clothes, and tennis shoes. And in
But
order
you're
for
saying it
me
motivated him to what?
not go and do these things.
Because a lot of people are motivated by money,
By
clothes,
just the
and
things you
just said
listed
to
as the
crime.
reason why they get involved.
Right.
but coming from me, if you, this is what I need you to do. I don't need to come to school, talk to the principal. I don't need to come talk to your teacher. And this is what you do. This is how I'm going to reward you. If this is what you want, here's your allowance. I need this from you. I may have gone to Madison one time to talk to the principal. He was a good kid.
That's good.
I can't say that right now, but he's a good kid. He was a good kid. He may have gotten one whooping in high school, and that was because he lied. He was on punishment for a month because he brought a D home. He never brought a D home again. That punishment wore him out for a month. So he was like, Mom, I need that whooping. I need it now. Nope. But I tried to give him everything a child would want and not have to go to the street to try to find it or go.
Well, some single mothers have a hard time keep making their sons mind them. I mean, your son obviously, for the most part, did what you said, but sometimes the power of the street is stronger, especially when they want males in their life. Some guys group with males, doing the wrong thing for that male camaraderie that they
Right.
don't get from not having a father. And it sounds like his father kind of
He was there,
exited
but
at some point.
He was there. He was there for a little bit, but he was there also in spirit. His dad called. He kept in contact because he was a non-citizen, so he became a citizen in another country, and he was gone for a minute. I mean, a long time.
Where did he become a citizen?
Incarcerated.
Oh, I
that he's not from America.
He's Colombian, right?
Right. So they shipped him back to Colombia. So that meant he was out of his son's life. But the other guy who I got the criminal mischief with the girl, he was there for 7 years. So he gave him a lots of guidance. And I had my cousins. They were older, little younger.
Doing positive things with their life?
They didn't. Well, I have one cousin. He was not so positive. He was in and out of jail. And he's like a couple of years younger than me, but he's never shown my son any of the negativity from the street. He protected him. And that's where the guys in my family, they didn't let him, no, you can't do this. We know what your daddy did and this, and your mama will kill us. So they knew at a time in my life that a lot of that stopped. No more drug dealers. I mean, it was straight and narrow.
So his father is back still in Colombia?
He just went back, I don't know. My son went, I don't know. I don't keep
your
in
son
touch
went
with
to visit him in Colombia?
Yes. Yeah. I don't keep up with his daddy. I haven't kept up with his daddy.
In years.
So, no. I sent my son there in 1998. I said, you can go every summer. He said, no, Mom, I don't want to go. I said, yes, you do. Go. So, from 1998, his daddy came back here in 2008, and they, reunited or whatever. But my son's grown. I mean, he always knew who his daddy was.
Right.
They always had a phone relationship. He went to visit. His daddy came back. He always knew who his daddy was. So his daddy was no secret, or he was absent, physically in his life, but he was there.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you didn't have to stay in jail too long. So the girl that you kept up with in jail, was she able to straighten up her life, or did she end up kind of going in and out, Deborah?
No, she stayed, and that was another thing. I missed that part too. I took my son to Dayton. I let him see, because I went to visit her. No, I didn't. I went to visit her.
She shipped to Dayton?
They shipped her to Dayton. I got out, whenever I got out, I kept in contact with her. I would send her money and things like that, and I say, we're going to go to Dayton. And that was another experience for me to give to my son, to let him know this is not where you need to be. And he met Deborah, and, that was, for me, I needed him to see this. And, he's
How old was he?
96, 97. He should have been about 10, 11 years old.
Oh, okay.
But see, he had already went to go see his daddy, too, in immigration. I mean, this is not, the facilities is nothing, it wasn't anything new for him. So he's seen it, and that was my, what can I say, my start to say, you've been here. You don't want to be inside. You don't want to go there because it's not a place for you. Nope. So that was a gear for me to say, okay, I'm gonna take you here so you can see what's going on.
Well, good for
And
him.
I think that's why I was saying, the kids need to see the real world. And me personally, I think they need to go, not be inside and teach them a lesson. They need to go, like the TV show that they have, I think Lock Up or
Yeah, I've never-
something
Like
like
sort of like
that.
a scary straight.
Yeah, that's Scare Straight. They go take the girls and let them see the other girls in there. But me personally, I don't think they need to be. I mean, I don't know.
Well, there's different ways of doing it, and what you did obviously worked. You know, you went, got in trouble a lot of misdemeanors, but your son didn't, and so obviously it worked because starting off with Sunnyside and A-Leaf could send you there.
Yes.
We have about 2 minutes, Mr. Danny, so you have an opportunity to kind of close it out and thank your guest for sharing her story and her testimony to show that going to jail is not the end of the world.
Yeah, and I just wanted to applaud your courage to come on the Truth and Justice and tell your real truth. Again, I share with you, we do this me and you do this so we can hopefully use our experience to give someone the courage to not to live in the shame and the guilt of some of the decisions we made in our past. I like to say it like this, say, God turned my wounds into wisdoms. And a lot of things I did, those wounds, they weren't my wounds, those were the wounds I hurt people with the choices I made. I also want to pivot to Vivian King for giving us a platform for people like me and you to come on and tell our real truth. And hopefully her goal is, and my goal is too, that long when we're gone, our stories will still remain somewhere out there in cyberspace and someone can look back. Because people are going to still go to jail.
Right.
People are going to still get out of jail. And people are going to still have to deal with that experience. Hopefully, when they look back at some of these stories, it'll give them strength.
And some courage.
And some courage.
Say,
And what else did you say?
And some courage and strength not to go back. It's not that hard out here. It's a struggle, but it's not that hard. You work, get your mind right, stay focused, and stay consistent. I mean, I'm not where I would love to be in life, but I'm happy with myself. I'm okay.
And you know what, Tara, that's such an important thing, is to be happy. So many people are still chasing, and they're not happy. So, we have to be happy in our station in life. We have to right where we are. I mean, you might not have tomorrow.
Right.
You might not have another space. So it's important to be happy in our space. And I'm glad that you're here and that after 6 years we can still tell stories and people are still interested enough to tell, to share, and to enlighten people about the criminal justice system. I think because of us, more people know and have the resource to go to YouTube and see what needs to be done. So I thank you both for spending your Wednesday afternoon with me. I thank you for watching our show. We come on every other Wednesday at Houston Media Source at 6:30 p.m. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for tuning in again. Tonight we have something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with crime. This is a show where I try to educate.